Okay, so here's part 2 of our video because Miss Slonick needed me for something really quickly. All right, so 1 whole is the same thing as 100 100ths. Okay, if we look back at our place value chart, if I have 100th here and I multiply it by 100, right? Multiply that 100th by 100. That essentially means that I'm moving to the left because I'm multiplying by a power of 10, right? When I multiplied 8 times 100, I got 800, which means my digit shifted over 2 places. So this means my 1 has to shift 2 places. So I'm going to shift 1 2 places, and that means my 1 is now in the whole number spot. So it equals 1 whole. Okay. All right, we're going to look at some practice problems with multiplying by 100ths. We know when we multiply a whole number times 100th, we're going to be moving and getting larger. Now, if we take this 100th and we multiply it by a decimal number, we're going to be getting smaller than what we have here. Okay? So let's look at some practice problems together. Okay. We're going to look at this first one here, 37 times 300ths. This means I have 300ths 37 times. Okay, I have 300ths 37 times. The best way to show that, I can show it to you with base 10 grids first. So if I have 300ths 37 times, that's going to take a lot of shading. But 1, 2, 3, there's 1 time. I'm just going to keep a tally. 1, 2, 3, 2 times. 1, 2, 3, 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 8 times, 1, 2, 3, 9 times, 1, 2, 3, 10 times. Now, if I know when I multiply 300ths times 10, I get these 3/10ths. Okay, I know another set of 10 groups of 300ths is going to be another 3/10ths. Because 10 times the 300ths gave me 3/10ths the first time, so another group of 10 will give me 3/10ths. And then another group of 10, since I need 30, would give me 3/10ths again. And then I need 7 more groups of 300ths. Because my problem was 37 times 300ths. So do 1, 2, 3. There's 1 more group. 1, 2, 3. There's 2 more groups. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 groups. 1, 2, 3. There's 4 groups. 1, 2, 3. 5 groups. 1, 2, 3. 6 groups. And 1, 2, 3. 7 groups. So 37 groups. So I end up with the answer 1 whole, 1/10, and 1 100th. So this equals 1 whole, 1/10, and 1 100th. Is the answer to that equation. How else could I set that up? Okay, I could do a box. And I would need 3 spaces across, 2 spaces right here. I could do 0, 0/10ths, 300ths. Could do 30 here and 7 here. 30 times 0 would be 0. 30 times 0 would be 0. And then I would have to think 30 times 300ths. Okay, I would have to think 30 times 300ths, which would be 0 and 90 hundredths. How do I know that's accurate? Because I have a whole number times a decimal, which means my product should be larger than what my decimal was, but smaller than my whole number. Okay. Then I have 7 times 0, which is 0, 7 times 0, which is 0, and then 7 times 3 hundredths again, which is 21 hundredths. Again, my product is bigger than my decimal, smaller than my whole number, and I have to add these two together. 0 and 90 hundredths plus 0 and 21 hundredths equals 9 and 2 is 11. Carry my 1, and I get 1 and 11 hundredths, just like I did when I did my base 10 grids and shading 3 hundredths in 37 times. Okay? All right, now if I look at this next problem, $1.49 times 2 and 5 tenths. It makes the most sense to do a box here. So I'm going to have 3 sections because one of my numbers has 3 digits. And then I'm going to have 2 sections because another one of my numbers has 2 digits. So I'm going to put 1 4/10. I'm going to put 9 hundredths. Then I'm going to put 2 holes, and I'm going to put 5 tenths here. Okay? 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 4 tenths is 8 tenths. And then 2 times 9 hundredths would be 0 and 18 hundredths. It's just like multiplying these two numbers. I know 2 times 9 is 18, but then I have to put it into the hundredths place. Okay, I have 2 groups of 9 hundredths. If I wasn't sure about this fact, I could go back to my base 10 grids and shade in 9 hundredths 2 times. Okay, 1 times 5 tenths is 5 tenths. 4 tenths times 5 tenths. When I have a tenth times a tenth, I always get a hundredth. So that is 0 and 4 tenths times 5 tenths would be 20 hundredths. Okay, now here's something tricky. I have a tenth times a hundredth. Now I know a tenth times a tenth is a hundredth, but a tenth times a hundredth. I'm going to look at, and you have this page, and I'm going to look at this page to help me break that down. Okay. What I have is, I'm thinking of 9 of these little hundredths, and I need to take a tenth or 5 tenths of those 9 hundredths. What does that mean? If I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, if I have 9 of those hundredths right here, and I take a tenth of each one, that means if I'm taking 5 tenths of each one, that means I'm splitting these little hundredths into 10 pieces. Just like you see over here, these hundredths are split into 10 pieces. So that means I'm taking 9 of those, and I'm only going to take 5 tenths from each one. Or excuse me, I'm going to take 5 tenths out of each one. Those are 5 hundredths, but I would take 5 tenths out of each one. So I'm taking little pieces of my hundredths, of these hundredths blocks. So I end up with what you would call thousandths. These little pieces are thousandths. So when I multiply a tenth by a hundredth, I always get a thousandth. A tenth times a hundredth always equals a thousandth. So I'm going to that third place value on my place value chart. So 5 times 9 is 45, but I have to make it 45 thousandths. Okay? Then I would add those together, my partial products together. Okay? And I'm actually going to do that up here at the top of my page so I have a little bit more room. So I have 2 wholes plus 8 tenths plus 18 hundredths, and I'm going to stop there and add that, and then I'll get my last 3 boxes. 8, 9, 2. So I now have to take 2 wholes and 98 hundredths and add my last 3 boxes. So I have 2 wholes, 98 hundredths. I'm adding 5 tenths. Remember to use your decimal as your anchor. I have 20 hundredths. And then I have 45 thousandths. If I add all that together, I get 5 here. Carry my 1, 10, 15, 17. I get 3 and 725 thousandths. Remember, when I'm making these boxes, if I ever have to multiply a tenth by a hundredth, it always should end in the thousandths place. I want you to choose one other problem to try and solve. If you show it to me tomorrow where you tried to solve one of these other problems, you will earn 7 tickets. All right. See you guys tomorrow.